State of the Union Address ni Presidente Donald Trump na nagtalakay ng mga sumusunod. Ang pagpahalaga ng mga magigiting dalawang digmaan kung saan ipinakilala niya si Staff Sergeant Irving Lockyer at si Sergeant Herman Seitzek. Dito rin napag-usapan ang tungkol kay Buzz Aldrin na siyang American pilot na pinakaunang tanim ng American flag sa buwan. Ang sunod na balik nila ay sakay sa isang American rocket. Tinalakay din dito ang pangunlad ng ekonomiya kung saan pumatok ang tulad ng 5.3 million na trabaho, 600,000 na bago pang manufakturya ng mga trabaho, at halos 5 milyon na Amerikano ay nasakit sa tinatawag nilang food stamps. Dito rin nakapaloob ang pagtalakay tungkol sa enerhiya kung saan ang Amerika ay nagiging net exporter sa enerhiya at natural gas. May punto din tungkol sa pagpapalaya. Pinalaya si Alice na kabilanggo dahil sa tinawag nila na First Step Act, habang ito ay ginawa na maging isang laye. Noong 1996 naman, nagsulpo din si Matthew Charles sa atol na pagkakulong sa sentensya na 35 anyos sa edad na 20. Ito ay dahil sa pagbibita ng droga at siya ang kauna-unahang pinalaya ng First Step Act. Discuss dito tungkol sa imigrasyon kung saan sinabi na ang hindi legal na pagpayag ng mga dayuhan na pagkapasok ay hindi pagtutulong at compassion para sa kanila, ngunit sa totoo ito ay isang walang paghahabag dahil sa mga nangyari sa mga kabaligtaihan na ipinagbibili bilang mga karapating mababang lipad at maihambing sa isang modernong pagkalibing. May isang ICE na operative, isang special agent Alvin Hernandez na siya ay taga Dominican Republic na nakapagsalba ng mga kabuhihan ng mahigit na 300 at 1,500 ng mga drug traffickers ang naipakulong naman. Bagong mga trabaho na binuksan at halos 78% dito ang mga kababaihan na karamihan ay nakatalaga o gumagawa na nagsiservisyo sa Kongreso kung ikumpara noon. Ang magandang balita din ay nagkaroon ng unawaan ang dalawang nasyon, Amerika at Mexico, at ang mga sasakyan na ginagawa doon pagitan ng dalawang gobyerno ay may tatak na made in the USA. Tungkol naman sa pangkalusugan, ginagawa ito na magkaroon ng pantay-pantay walang pagtatago ng mga presyo ng mga pangunahing gamot para sa mga pasyente at binaba din ang presyo nitong mga gamot. Ang isa pang pamilya, meron mas lang pagbabakasyon para sa pamilya upang magbigyan ng panahon ang mga bagong mga magulang na makasama at makabanding ang kanilang bagong silang na mga anak. Ito isang malaking hakbang sa mga bagong mag-asawa na may bagong sinilang na mga anak. Ang advokasya na ang mga Amerikano ay sinilang na malaya ay pinapatuloy din, at ang nuclear na kasunduan ay ipinapatupad upang magkaroon ng kaligtasan ang sangkatauhan. Marami din ang nagawa ng mga batas, at ang mga batas na ito ay para sa pakanan ng mga mamamayan ng Estados Unidos. Sa pangalawang bahagi naman ay nagsalita ang isang komentarista tungkol sa kay Michael Cohen na baka siya ang kauna-unahing presidente na galing sa White House diretso sa kulungan kung mapatunayan ang mga nagawa niyang mga kasalanan. Ano ba ang mga nalabag na kasalanan at ginawa ni Donald Trump? Una ay yung dayuhang panunuhol, at ang pangalawa ay ang pagharang sa katurungan dahil sa ginawang investigasyon na gusto niyang ihinto. Ano naman ang isaalang-alang kung ang isang presidente o si Donald Trump ay aakusahan? Ano itong tatlong bagay-bagay? Una, ang isang nakaupo na presidente ay hindi pwedeng akusahan ng isang krimen. Malawa, ang mga presidente ay hindi nananagot sa anumang akusasyon habang sila ay nanunungkulan at nasa pwestong kasalukuyan. Pangatlo, napakaraming mga tao na nainis at nagagalit sa kay Presidente Donald Trump dahil sa mga bagay-bagay na kanyang ginawa na labas at labag sa kanyang pagka-presidente at nilabag niya ang kasunduan ng mga ginawa. Sa ikatlong segment nito ay mayroon silang tinalakay tungkol sa mga kasong harapin ni Donald Trump kung wala na siya sa kapangyarihan. Dito ay pwede na siyang akusahan, at sinabi ito sa pag-interview na NBI Special Prosecutor, at sinabi na habang si Donald Trump nakaupo, hindi ito pwedeng akusahan, ngunit kung siya ay bumaba na pagka-presidente at umalis sa White House, siya ay pwede ng akusahan ng mga kasalanan na kanyang ginawa, ngunit ito ay dapat ayon sa mga kasunduan at sa laye kung saan sinasabi na ang isang tao ay Hindi po pwedeng akusahan na guilty unless proven otherwise. Ang apat na segment, si Donald Trump ay may sinabi tungkol sa baka hindi siya bababa o aalis sa White House, at ang mga haka-haka ang sabi-sabi ay ano ba ang mga rason kung bakit ayaw niyang umalis. Ito ba ay number one, publisidad? Kasi ang tingin nila si Donald Trump ay mahilig sa palaging nasa sentro ng usapin. Pangalawa, na siya ay magpapatuloy na mangangalap ng pera dahil sa mga sumusuporta sa kanya, dahil sa pagkukunwari niyang mananalo o siya ang nanalo sa eleksyon sa kanyang sinasalihan. Pangatlo, natanong na kung siya ba ay alam niya na siya ay natalo sa 2020 na eleksyon pagkatapos Monty, at kung hindi siya aalis, ano ang gagawin na congresswoman o ng Justice Department na maipatupad ang ganong layin na kung tapos na ang iyong tempo sa pagka-presidente, ikaw ay dapat bumaba at ibigay sa susunod na presidente ang pribileyo na siya naman ang pumalik sa White House. Lahat ito ay makikita sa dokumento na kasama dito sa dokumento sa unahan at sa hulihan, at mayroong timestamps para ito ay magiging klaro at mabalik-balikan ng mga babasa o ng gusto maliwanagan sa ganitong topiko.
We must choose whether we are defined by our differences or whether we dare to transcend them. We must choose whether we squander our great inheritance or whether we proudly declare that we are Americans. We do the incredible. We defy the impossible. We conquer the unknown. This is the time to reignite the American imagination. This is the time to search for the tallest summit and set our sights on the brightest star. This is the time to rekindle the bonds of love and loyalty and memory that link us together as citizens, as neighbors, as patriots. This is our future, our fate, and our choice to make. I am asking you to choose greatness. No matter the trials we face, no matter the challenges to come, we must go forward together We must keep America first in our hearts. We must keep freedom alive in our souls. And we must always keep faith in America's destiny. That one nation, under God, must be the hope and the promise and the light and the glory among all the nations of the world. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, the president, unlike my Cohen for Trump that has 1,000 followers, he's got over 60 million people. And when Mr. Trump turned around early in the campaign and said, I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it, I want to be very clear. He's not joking. He's telling you the truth. He said, you don't know him. I do.
Do you remember that guy? Yeah, Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former attorney and fixer, who's been doing some time in prison. Well, just this past September, Cohen said, and I quote, Trump may be the first sitting president to go from the White House straight to prison. Yep, that's right. And word on the street right now is that Trump isn't just fighting this election so he can have another 4 years, but hopefully so he can have a get out of jail free card, because he could be facing criminal prosecution once he's out of office. That is very interesting. And it's also a good reason never to concede. So let's talk about it. I'm attorney Adrienne Lawrence, and this is Overruled. Welcome to TYT Overruled, where you get to be the judge. And your case for today, it concerns prosecuting President Donald Trump for potential crimes that he committed. And these crimes, they range from everything from foreign bribery to obstruction of justice. So here are the 3 things that you'll want to know when it comes to charging presidents with crimes, particularly one Donald J. Trump. First, you may be asking, why hasn't Trump been prosecuted yet? Well, federal law protects sitting presidents from being indicted for crimes. The Justice Department has said that for years, that a sitting president can't be charged with a crime. And that's why Bob Mueller also said that he couldn't charge Trump, that it would be unconstitutional. But the thing is, we don't really know if that's true or not, because it's never been tested by the courts. As in, no prosecutor at the federal level has ever tried to indict a sitting president. And who knows if that's going to happen with these last months left of what could be Trump's first administration and only administration, largely because his legal henchman, William Barr, is not about to indict him. However, SCOTUS the other day issued that interesting ruling that was for New York state authorities in their investigation of Trump. Remember that? And it seems that state authorities may be able to indict a sitting president for crimes that he did commit. But who knows? We don't know if we're going to actually see whether that is true or not, or whether we'll wait and Trump may be out of office. Second, so what's the rule on when a president leaves office? Unfortunately, sitting presidents who engage in criminal acts are still never really prosecuted or held to account. And you can blame elitism and classism for that. Basically, presidents, they go without any kind of accountability or punishment because they've got powerful friends who can do them big favors. Also, there's this kind of underlying sentiment between the 1%, kind of a gentleman's agreement, that essentially helps them evade criminality and crimes and any kind of accountability. Like we were ever going to see George W. Bush be hauled into court or an international tribunal to answer for his war crimes. Yeah, right. That's not happening. And that's why no former U.S. president has ever seen the inside of a jail cell, whether they earned it or not. But who knows? That could change. What could make Trump's situation different and possibly encourage prosecutors to actually enforce the laws against him is that he just pissed off a lot of people. Also, the range of alleged criminality he's engaged in is so far outside of the scope of presidency that it may be intolerable.
Could you charge the president with a crime after he left office?
Yes.
You believe that you could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office?
Yes.
And speaking of intolerable, Trump also was doing things that, other former presidents, they didn't do when it came to racism, sexism, and other displays of intolerable behavior. So he has breached that gentleman's agreement. And lastly, Trump's really powerful in terms of inciting people and getting people to support him. The word on the street is that he will run for office in 2024 if he does not win the election this time. And so there's a possibility that the Dems and the rest of us will have to deal with him in 4 years. And that could be very dangerous. So, should they actually want to enforce the laws against him, it could be worthwhile just to shut him down, even if it goes against the class rule. So that's it. Those are the 3 things you'll want to know about potentially prosecuting Trump. Do you think that he'll ever be brandishing a shiny pair of handcuffs in the next few years, or do you think that the powers that be will protect him? You let me know your thoughts below. Also, hit me up on Twitter using the hashtag #TYTOverruled, and I'll catch you next time.
Does anybody know more about litigation than Trump? I'm like a PhD in litigation, okay?
Perhaps that expertise will come in handy after the White House, when Donald Trump is free game. In one high-profile probe, Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance is looking into the inner workings of the Trump Organization. The investigation first focused on hush money payments to 2 women who alleged before the 2016 election that they had engaged in sexual encounters with Donald Trump. The president has denied the affairs and knowing anything about the payments. But his former lawyer and then fixer, Michael Cohen, said last year, under oath, there was no doubt that Trump knew. In court filings, Vance signaled this probe may also include possible bank, insurance, and tax fraud. For 2 years now, Vance has been trying to get his hands on 8 years of Trump's tax returns. Over the summer, the U.S. Supreme Court blocked Trump's attempt to keep his returns private.
These same people that failed to get me in Washington have sent every piece of information to New York so that they can try to get me there.
How Trump valued his assets will also be getting a closer look post-presidency. In New York State, the Attorney General opened a fraud investigation focused on whether the Trump Organization inflated its assets to get tax benefits and bank loans and played them down when that no longer suited them.
Mr. Trump inflated his total assets when it served his purposes, such as trying to be listed amongst the wealthiest people in Forbes, and deflated his assets to reduce his real estate taxes.
For now, this is still a civil investigation, but it has the potential to turn criminal. Trump will also have to answer to the Attorneys General of Maryland and Washington, D.C., in a lawsuit over the emoluments clause brought back in 2017. Which forbids profiting from the presidency. They allege Trump has pocketed big money from foreign governments who have stayed at the Trump Hotel in D.C. Trump has appealed the case to the U.S. Supreme Court, which hasn't decided whether to hear it.
This thing is costing me a fortune being president. Somebody said, oh, he might have rented a room to a man from Saudi Arabia for $500. What about the $5 billion that I'll lose? It's probably going to cost me, including upside, downside, lawyers, because every day they sue me for something.
Citizen Trump will also face lawsuits involving allegations of rape and sexual assault. Summer Zervos, a former Apprentice contestant, is suing Trump for defamation related to her claim that he allegedly assaulted her in 2007. Last year, he lost his attempt to have the case dismissed. His deposition was put on hold until after he leaves office. Trump also lost his bid to dismiss a defamation case brought by E. Jean Carroll, who alleges Trump raped her in the 1990s. Trump has denied harming either woman saying this about E. Jean Carroll, quote, "She's not my type." Randy Kay, CNN, Palm Beach, Florida.
A lot of legal fights for President Trump ahead. The man pursuing the civil lawsuit in a D.C. courtroom joins us now, D.C. Attorney General Karl Racine. Mr. Attorney General, thanks for joining us. As we mentioned, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff was deposed today. I know you aren't able to share details as this is an ongoing civil case. Can you share if she was cooperative or not?
Ms. Winston Wolkoff has been fully cooperative since day one of meeting her, and her deposition today, I think, was truthful, honest, and fulsome. Though I cannot talk about the details of the deposition, I can tell you that it strengthens our case, and our case is a just case because it demonstrates that the Trumps took advantage of the Presidential Inaugural Committee and funneled money, $1 million, essentially, into their own pockets and purses through the Trump Hotel.
And can you just walk us through how you believe that the inaugural committee may have overpaid the Trump family business, and what you found after years of collecting evidence? Because I understand part of it is they were charging or allegedly charging exorbitant rates for hotel rooms during the inauguration. But don't all hotels in D.C. jack up their prices during an inauguration or during big events?
They do. The issue is the proper conduct of the inaugural committee, which was a not-for-profit organization that received certain tax benefits, which they didn't pay taxes and expenses were able to be written off. Well, in exchange for those benefits, they're supposed to guard against waste, guard against self-dealing that would lead to monies going into related businesses like the Trump Hotel. So, Anderson, let me give you one example that I think is one of the most glaring examples. We have found evidence that the Trump Hotel charged the inaugural committee $175,000 for event space that they charged another not-for-profit organization $5,000 for.
Wow.
That is wasteful, it's exorbitant, and to be very honest, it's taking advantage of the public to line their own pockets and purses. That's why we're suing.
And Ivanka Trump, I know, sat for a deposition last week in which afterwards she released a statement saying in part, quote, "This inquiry is another politically motivated demonstration of vindictiveness and waste of taxpayer dollars." She also posted an email that she claims shows she had specifically instructed the Trump Hotel to charge a, quote, fair market rate. You've said that her statement was highly misleading. Can you explain why?
Sure. Her email was, if I'm not mistaken, it was December 14. I know that because that's my birthday. And sure enough, in that email, she talked about market rate. She didn't talk about what occurred after December 14, including fire alarms, red flags from Ms. Wolkoff Winston saying, wait a second, we can't charge the inaugural committee these exorbitant rates. Instead, there are no emails where Ms. Trump put a halt to those kinds of charges, and therefore we know that she was in the loop but didn't stop it. Let me go further, because you mentioned in the opening segment that I guess the president mentioned that he's a PhD in litigation. I can tell you that my colleagues and I on the Democratic AG front have sued the president a lot, over 138 times. 80% of those cases we have won in front of courts that have been judged by democratically appointed judges and Republican appointed judges. They have found that the Trumps have no legal claims, that their actions are contrary to law. And I'm confident at the end of the day, when this inauguration suit, it will be another loss for the Trumps, just as their last minute Hail Mary, with all due respect to the Virgin Mary, attempt to overturn this election is. The complaint filed by the Texas Attorney General, and I believe the United States Supreme Court, will be rejected by fair-minded judges appointed by Republican presidents and Democratic presidents. The heroes in our democracy have been the federal courts.
What sort of timeline do you anticipate for the rest of this lawsuit? Maybe too hard to tell, but and also what would a fair resolution look like if you won, to you?
You know, a fair resolution in this lawsuit is the return of all the monies that were wasted and went into the pockets and purses of the Trump family through the Trump Hotel. And we estimate that that's well over $1 million. In terms of timeline, Anderson, you know, unfortunately, sometimes a lawsuit takes time. And so we'll likely be well into the year 2021 before resolution. And as you mentioned at the outset, a civil case is not pardonable. We're going to litigate this to the end, and I'm confident that justice will prevail and we will win.
One of the things we wonder about is, does Donald Trump know he lost and he's pretending to have won for optics or to keep raising money from his followers? Or does he actually think he is the rightful winner of the 2020 presidential election? I actually believe that may be the wrong question. People like Donald Trump, narcissists with delusions of grandeur and a complete inability to self-reflect, they hold contradictory beliefs at the same time. Or sometimes they switch erratically every 30 seconds between one belief and its opposite. CNN is now reporting that Donald Trump has told some advisors that he is simply going to refuse to physically leave the White House on Joe Biden's inauguration day, January 20th. Aides report being alarmed by Donald Trump saying, "I'm just not leaving," because as you can imagine, Secret Service escorting a president out of the White House would be fascinating, but it would not exactly do wonders for Donald Trump's legacy. But then after saying, "I'm not leaving," Trump reportedly kind of walks it back and starts talking about who he wants to pardon on the way out and looking forward to just heading down to Florida, seemingly recognizing that he did lose and he will leave. Now, I'm not surprised by this. The discussion about does Trump know he lost or not? This is exactly the type of thing I would expect, where one second he's insisting, "I'm not going to leave because I won." And the next second he's talking about, "Screw this, I'm out of here. I'll go play golf. Give me a list of pardons to sign off on." There's nothing at all shocking or unusual about that for someone of Trump's personality and disposition. The other funny thing is that at this point, I believe that most of the people convinced that Trump did actually win and Joe Biden stole it recognize that unless you get some legal determination to overturn the election, Trump can't just sort of stay at the White House like a squatter, that's not going to be the way it works. I think even the people convinced Trump did win know that unless you get some a court or a state to overturn a result, you can't just sit at the White House. They know even that's not going to work. And in all seriousness, I would be willing to pay money to see Donald Trump dragged out by Secret Service, but ultimately it's not going to happen. And Trump may even end up vacating the White House this month. There are rumors, speculation that he'll head to Florida around Christmas or after, even though we go back and forth. Oh, Trump's going to do Christmas at the White House, or maybe not. We don't know. Trump may leave the White House later this month and not even come back. Or maybe he will, and he'll be convinced by someone around him, you should really be there on January 20th. I don't know. There would be nothing better for ratings. There would be nothing better for shock value. There would be nothing better for comedy than Trump being physically removed from the White House. But it would be a disaster for the country. And I don't think it's actually going to come to that. Now, in the meantime, prepare yourselves for a flurry of pardons. Donald Trump is getting endless requests. He's regularly asking people around him, should I pardon this person? Should I pardon that person? What about this one? People are skipping the normal process. Normally, to ask for a pardon, you go through the Justice Department's pardon attorney. With Trump, everything is insane. Everything is childish. Everything is unorganized. And so people are calling Jared Kushner. They're emailing Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. If they have a direct line to Trump, they're just asking Trump. It's like a feeding frenzy of people asking for pardons. And what's interesting about that is, even though there is a formal process for asking for a pardon in theory, anyone who knows this administration knows that with Trump, it's who can get in front of Trump when he's paying attention for 30 seconds and maybe get him to sign off. That's the way it works. And they're completely right. Their instinct is exactly right. So we'll see how the pardons go. But Donald Trump will leave. And in preparation for Trump leaving and Joe Biden coming in, on January 1st, we are doing a one-day huge membership special. If you've been thinking about signing up, if you are sort of ready to make the commitment to being a member, get on our mailing list at davidpakman.com. And then on January 1st, an email will go out, which will tell you, here is how to take advantage of this borderline illegal and certainly immoral membership special that will be themed based on the date. It will be 1/1/21, and the membership special will be themed on that basis. Okay? Sign up for the newsletter, davidpakman.com. On New Year's Day, we will let you know how to avail yourself of that special. And of course, let me know what you expect between now and January 20th from Donald Trump. I'm on Twitter at dpakman.